One of Stoicism's central teachings is focused on cultivating an inner resilience and maintaining an attitude of calmness in the face of external circumstances. I like to think of it like this. When something bad happens in your life, it's perfectly okay to be upset, to feel those emotions fully. What isn't okay is letting those negative emotions control your actions. When I was younger, my dad would drive us around everywhere we went. And I'll tell you what, his driving stressed me out like no other. One of the worst things he did when driving was he let his emotions control his actions. There was one time I was in his Corvette and we were running late to something, probably baseball practice. Nothing do or die, right? Pretty typical day. On the way to the baseball field, there's a railroad crossing, and we turn onto the street to drive over the railroad tracks, and we see the lights flashing and the posts start going down. My father is visibly upset as we're already running late. And we're in a Corvette, so, this isn't exactly the best recipe. Instead of waiting for the train to pass, and looking back, I'm almost positive it was a commuter train, which, if you know anything about commuter trains, they last like 30 seconds, right? They're short, they're fast. It's not a long wait. So instead of waiting, he guns to the tracks, makes a sharp left turn, and races down the street. I'm obviously losing my mind. I'm in the passenger seat. Little 8-year-old me is feeling every emotion to the highest of highs. We make it a bit further down to another crossing, and the rails are going down, but my dad doesn't give a shit. He's like, fuck it, we're going hard. He makes a sharp right and guns it under the guardrails, literally just making it across the tracks. And the entire time, I'm in absolute shock. I was like, what just happened, Dad? And I felt, after this happened, I felt all these emotions. I felt like I just jumped out of an airplane. My adrenaline was through the roof. And my dad and I are, we're both going crazy. We're high-fiving each other. He's lit up like a Christmas tree. It's like we just won the lottery. When in fact we just, escaped death. But I'm 8 years old. I have no fucking idea how crazy that shit was. But looking back, probably not the smartest thing to do as a father. The thing is, he let those emotions, those negative emotions, the anger of being late, the anger of the train making us even more late, he let all those emotions control his actions. And guys, that's no way to live. That's a recipe for disaster. Even the other day I was driving down the road, coming back home from work, and this car starts riding my ass. Which, that's whatever. That type of stuff doesn't affect me. But what he did next really got to me. He sped ahead, got into the left lane, and traffic in that lane slowed down. And I'm in the middle lane, which is still pretty clear. So I'm still going steady, and as soon as I start to approach him, he slowly starts merging into my lane. I obviously laid on my horn, but he literally was not fazed. So he's still merging while I'm driving past him, and I get past him. He barely misses hitting me, and he keeps riding my ass. And then after that, he swerves in and out of other lanes, and he speeds off into the distance. I have no idea how this man did not hit me. It makes no sense. Me and him were sharing the middle lane together. And I'm just thinking, what in the world just happened? Driving is a very easy way to let your emotions control your actions. You put me through that same situation 3 years ago, and I'm losing my mind at that driver. I'd probably tail him, flip him off, call him every curse word I could. 3 years ago, I would have acted just like my dad in that situation. But I'm lucky enough to have come across Stoicism. The first person to guide me through what Stoicism entailed was Ryan Holiday from the Daily Stoic. One of his very early videos, he has a quote by Marcus Aurelius: "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Reading this quote was so empowering because it opened my eyes to the fact that there will be times in my life where bad shit will happen. But you have the power over how it makes you feel and what you're going to do with those feelings. This won't be easy either. Nothing good ever is. But it does change your life and will make you more resilient when faced with difficult situations. When you start practicing this, and I truly do believe the best time to practice this is when driving, because how others drive is outside of your control. You can't do anything about it, which many times will result in people cutting you off. You almost getting hit, getting tailed. There's a lot of shit that can and will happen when you're driving. And if you can get to a point in your life where you don't let outside circumstances while driving control your actions, you're gonna do great in life. It feels so good to be able to act rationally when faced with negative outside events. You really do feel empowered because you're consciously controlling your mind and not letting it drift into a bad state. And then you'll get to a point like I am, where something bad happens while driving, and instead of letting that outside event dictate your actions, you start to become compassionate. You start to try to understand the other driver. Like maybe they're rushing to the hospital. Maybe there's some sort of emergency. Who knows what they're going through? But to act like they're acting is one of the worst things you could do. You're giving up your power and letting outside events control your mind. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. That's Marcus Aurelius. Treat these outside events as tests. Remind yourself when they're happening that you have the power over what you do next. Do you really want to be like that guy who cut you off? Do you really want to wail on your horn and flip off that driver next to you? I'm sure you do. Most everyone will have those feelings when driving. But when you resist the feelings to do that and act rationally, when you can inspect the situation from the outside and see it from a different angle, when you can have compassion from the guy who just cut you off, when you can remind yourself that this is a test and how you respond is an indicator of who you're becoming, when you can feel upset and angry, but not let those emotions control how you react, when you can do all those things, you're one step closer to being the master of your mind. It's going to take time. Stoicism is a lifelong journey. Each day you have the opportunity to practice it. Each day is a test. You'll experience so many circumstances where you can practice it. And yeah, sometimes you're not going to do the best. Sometimes you won't act rationally. But it isn't about being perfect. It's about consistently improving and becoming better at it. Because you will fail sometimes. You're going to fall on your face and act irrationally. It happens, guys. Don't get down on yourself because of that. Once you get here, once you've been doing it long enough, you're going to become more resilient. You're going to cultivate this inner calmness about yourself. Your overall well-being is going to be improved. And your life will be changed. But it starts with you. It starts with how you react to situations. You don't get there overnight. You get there by doing it every single day. And picking yourself up, even when you fall, even when you mess up. Understanding, being compassionate for yourself too. Like, okay, I messed up here, but next time, I get the opportunity to practice it again. And it's just that process, guys, that continuous process. over and over and over again. That's how you win. That's how you become a higher version of yourself. Thank you guys so much for listening. I truly do appreciate each and every single one of you. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star rating on Spotify. It helps out the show immensely. If you want to send me a message or support me in other ways, there's a link in the show notes. Click it. It'll give you further instructions to go from there. You can follow my social medias. My fitness page and my personal Instagram are linked below in the show notes. Send me a message. I love hearing from you guys. It seriously makes my day. And yeah, that's going to do it for today's episode. I'll see you all next Friday. Peace!